There are events where no tickets exist, no website, no social media, no way in with money alone. You must be invited by someone who was themselves invited. And at the highest level, the guests do not know the location until they are already on the plane. Level 1. Exclusive brand events. Free to $5,000 per seat. The entry point into invitation-only culture is, paradoxically, the level that requires the least. A publicist's guest list, a brand's VIP launch, a velvet rope managed by someone who would acknowledge that the criteria for crossing it are not stringent. These events exist because the brand that stages them needs a certain kind of person in the photograph. Not a celebrity necessarily, a type. The right look, the right followers, the right ambient association. The buyer here, if buyer is even the right word, received the invitation because his friend knows the PR coordinator, or because he has a following on a platform the brand is trying to reach, or because he happened to be in the right place when the guest list was being assembled and someone added his name. He will describe this experience to people who were not invited. He will use the word exclusive. He is not technically wrong. Level 2. Charity galas. $5,000 to $50,000 per table. The charity gala is the event format that most successfully disguises a networking operation as a charitable act, and has been doing so for approximately a century without anyone filing a formal objection. The structure is elegant. A noble cause provides the reason to gather. The ticket price provides access to a room calibrated by the organizers to contain the right density of wealth and influence. The charity receives a portion of the proceeds. The attendees receive an opportunity to be seen by and to see the other attendees, and a tax deduction, which is either the reason they came or a pleasing consequence, depending on who you ask. The Met Gala, the most visible version of this format, has a reported ticket price of around $75,000 per seat in 2026. But the ticket price is not the point. The point is that the ticket price is also insufficient to secure a seat. The decision is made by Anna Wintour, who has been making it for decades without a published methodology. People who could write the check do not attend because they were not asked. People who were asked attend because they were considered the right attendees. The donation is the cover charge. The curation is the product. The buyer at a standard charity gala writes the check because his business partner is on the committee, and he would rather be in the room than explain why he was not. Level 3. Private art and collector events. $25,000 to $100,000. Art Basel in Basel, Frieze in London and New York, TEFAF in Maastricht. The public versions of these are the ones with press coverage. The private versions happen the evening before and the day before that. In galleries and private residences where the works are not yet on the public floor, and the collectors who will acquire them are making decisions in rooms the public never enters. Christie's, Sotheby's, and the major galleries maintain private client lists that operate separately from their public auction calendars, viewings by invitation, private sales without public estimates. The piece you saw sell at auction for $40 million was, in many cases, also available privately at a different price before it reached the room. But that conversation happens only with buyers the house has already qualified. The buyer here collects, not as a lifestyle accessory, but as a serious practice with an advisor, a storage facility, and an insurance policy that costs more per year than most people's homes. He receives invitations because he buys, and he is invited to previews because the house wants to know his interest level before the auction sets the estimate. His opinion about the work is considered. His buying history is the credential. Level 4. Summit events. $50,000 to $500,000 across membership fees, attendance costs, and the infrastructure required to be someone who belongs in the room. Davos, Sun Valley, the Allen and Company Sun Valley Conference, the Milken Global Conference. These are the events where CEOs, heads of state, central bank governors, and the owners of media companies convene, officially to discuss ideas, and in practice to have conversations that cannot be scheduled into a normal meeting cadence because the parties involved do not share a city, a time zone, or a calendar that could be coordinated at any other moment. The Allen and Company Conference in Sun Valley, Idaho, is the most consequential of these for the technology and media industries. No published agenda, no press access to the substantive conversations. Attendees have included the founders of every major tech platform, the heads of the largest media conglomerates, and occasionally a head of state who arrived without being on any publicly available guest list. Deals have been made here. Mergers have been conceived here. Regulatory positions have been formed here. None of this is secret. It is simply not for anyone who was not invited. The buyer at this level is the CEO whose assistant manages the logistics. He does not discuss what happens at these events, not because of a formal confidentiality agreement, though some exist, but because the value of the conversations depends on the people in them believing they are not being reported. He respects that. The event is never really about the event. The charity gala is not about the charity. The art preview is not about the art. The summit is not about the ideas. Every event at every level is about who else is in the room. This is not cynicism. It is the actual product. Access to people who are otherwise inaccessible is the scarcest resource in a world where money can buy almost everything else. The event is the mechanism that justifies the gathering. Level 5, Billionaire Retreats. By invitation only, no ticket price, no published guest list, no social media presence, no application process. The Billionaire Retreat exists in industry reporting and occasional memoirs, and almost nowhere else. The format: a private location, typically an island or a remote resort booked in full, for a period of 3 to 5 days, with a guest list of somewhere between 15 and 40 people, all of whom were individually selected by whoever organized the gathering. The rule about phones varies by host but is often absolute. The conversations are not recorded, not reported, and not referenced publicly by the participants. The value of these gatherings, from the perspective of the participants, is the one thing that none of the levels below this one provides: unstructured time with people of equivalent standing in an environment designed to remove the performance layer that applies when either party knows they are being observed. The conversations at these retreats are different from conversations at Davos, because at Davos everyone is aware they are being watched. At the private island, they are not. Level 6, the Unlisted event, deliberately undiscoverable. At Level 6, the event does not exist publicly at any point before, during, or after it occurs. No name, no promotional material, no post-event coverage. The invitation is communicated through a channel that is itself not public. A direct introduction from someone already in the network, a communication that arrives through a private secretary, a message through a channel that requires existing membership to access. The Bohemian Grove is the most documented version of this in the United States, a 2,700-acre private camp in Northern California where a male membership of several thousand, drawn heavily from political, corporate, and financial leadership, gathers for 2 weeks each summer. Activities are not described in any official communication. What is known comes from investigative journalism and occasional accounts from former attendees. The organization itself does not respond to public inquiries in a way that provides information. This is not a failure of their communication strategy. It is the communication strategy. Level 7. The inversion. The legacy gathering. At the highest level, the event is not organized by anyone who thinks of themselves as an event organizer. It is a gathering of people whose families have been in relationship with each other for long enough that the gathering itself is the tradition, and the tradition predates any of the current attendees. The families whose foundations, banks, and industrial holdings extend across multiple countries and several generations do not have a name. They do not have a location that is the same each time. They do not have a guest list because the guest list is the family. The outside world does not know these gatherings occur. The participants do not discuss them in any medium that reaches the outside world. Person who received a brand invitation because someone knew the PR coordinator, and the person whose great-grandparents attended the first version of the gathering they are about to attend are both, technically, attending invitation-only events. The invitation was never the point. The room was.